Hey guys, doing another What's Next. This one is on Lionell Thompson of the United States. He's currently my number 9 super middleweight in the world right now. Thompson is coming off of his career best win when he moved down after a career at light heavyweight. He decided to move down to 168 for an opportunity against former IBF champion Jose Ustadegui, who's also in the back part of the top 10 for me at 168. And Thompson came in and pretty much outworked and outboxed and kind of dominated the action and got a clean 10-round unanimous decision over Ustadegui in December. It was on a Showtime card too, on a Gervonta Davis undercard, so he got some hype, and now he's in the top 10 because of it. So there was talk about Thompson possibly facing David Benavidez in April, and then Benavidez decided to go with Romer Angulo instead. Probably the better choice for Benavidez in terms of staying safe. But Thompson is a full load and a decent boxer, so let's run him through the top 10 and see what opportunities he could have next. So the big question, what's next for Lionell Thompson? We start with number 1, and that is the undefeated WBA super champion, Callum Smith. Smith likely going to go with the Matchroom guy next. I think he's going to face a John Ryder or push for a Danny Jacobs or somebody on that level that's with Matchroom right now. I think John Ryder's probably the favorite, and he's not going to want to face a guy like Lionell Thompson who's with the PBC. Next at number 2, well, actually Canelo's number 1. He's not getting the Canelo fight. Canelo's got Billy Joe, and then Triple G after that. So Lionell Thompson, no shot there. Number 2 is Callum Smith. Next at number 3 is Danny Jacobs, former 2-time middleweight champ. Not going to happen. Danny Jacobs is with Matchroom. Thompson is with PBC. Thompson's way too high risk for Jacobs, who just barely moved up to 168. And he's not a big name either, Thompson. So Jacobs is going to want to face somebody a little bit more credible of a name and a more natural 168-pounder. I think John Ryder's the likely, I think it's actually probably going to be Gabriel Rosado, the veteran, former world title challenger, next for Jacobs. So, yeah, they're not looking anywhere near Lionell Thompson. Next at number 4 is undefeated David Benavidez, a WBC champ. Benavidez, after he makes his mandatory against Romer Angulo, which he just confirmed he is going to be facing him once the pandemic is over with, Benavidez is going to be facing Angulo, and then after that he's got Avni Yildirim. So Lionell Thompson, even though they're both PBC guys, he's not going to get a shot next or soon against David Benavidez. Next at number 5 is undefeated WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders is next in line to fight Canelo. He's also a Matchroom guy. Thompson's kind of a high-risk fight for a guy like Billy Joe, so not happening. Next at number 6 is undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant. Now this fight is interesting because I do think this fight could happen next. Plant is looking for good, solid opponents, and I think Lionell Thompson is going to be on his hit list. I think he's probably going to have 3 guys on the list: Anthony Durrell, Caleb Truax, and Lionell Thompson. I think Thompson could give him the best fight of those 3, but he's also the less of the name, so he's probably, I think Plant will probably try for an Anthony Durrell fight. Not sure if Durrell will face Plant, but if Durrell says no, then I think he probably looks for Truax. But I don't think anybody would be surprised if he beats Truax. I think he'd be a heavy favorite there, so he might just take the chance and face a guy like Thompson. So I do think this fight is possible against Caleb Plant. Next at number 7 is former 2-time champ Anthony Durrell. Now, if Anthony Durrell wanted to face a guy like Lionell Thompson to move up in the WBC ratings, then I could see this fight happening. But I think for Durrell, this is a high-risk fight. He's always played it safe, and now, at the end of his career, he's trying to get probably one last title shot, and I think he's definitely going to play it safe to get there. So I don't think he takes the risk and faces a guy like Thompson. But it still could happen because these guys are PBC guys in the top 10, and they might be left with no choice but to fight each other next. So we'll see, but I don't think so. Next at number 8 is the former IBF champion Caleb Truax. Another fight that I think is possible for Thompson right here because they're both with the PBC. Truax trying to get back in the mix. They can set this up as an eliminator in the IBF and, go after Caleb Plant next after that. I absolutely think that could happen. They're both PBC guys. It really depends on what David Benavidez and Caleb Plant do next, because it doesn't look like their unification is going to happen this year. It looks like Benavidez has 2 fights until he can even be open to facing Plant. So that's probably not till next year. So what does Plant do in the meantime in terms of getting a big fight? He wants big name opponents. He wants a big fight. So he's probably going to have to settle for one of these guys. And is he going to choose Caleb Truax, the veteran former champ? Is he going to choose Anthony Durrell? Does he choose Lionel Thompson? So it's really up in the air. But if he doesn't choose Truax or Thompson, Truax and Thompson can face each other. So we just got to wait and see how that unfolds and what Caleb Plant decides to do next. And Lionel Thompson is number 9. Number 10 is John Ryder. Matchroom versus PBC right here, and it's not a big fight, not a mandatory fight. No chance of this one happening. So now what do I think Lionel Thompson is going to do next? I personally believe he's going to be facing one of he's either going to be facing one of the 3 guys. I think Caleb Plant for the IBF title, Anthony Durrell, or a possibility of Caleb Truax. But I also do think there's a chance, and it could be a good chance, and maybe it's 50-50 right now, that not one of those 3 guys says yes to a Lionel Thompson fight because it's too tough of an opponent, and he might be asked out and become somewhat of the boogeyman where he's not getting any fights and he might just have to stay busy. If that's the case, I'd say right now he needs to be prodding to see if he's a possibility for any of these 3 guys, and if not, he needs to just stay busy. That's what he needs to do. Stay on Al Heyman, get a fight as soon as possible once the pandemic is lifted. Stay busy, move yourself in line, maybe try to get an eliminator if possible, even if it's against a guy that's not in like an overall top 10. He's just in the rankings of one of the governing bodies. That's what he needs to do. So that's the what's next on super middleweight contender Lionel Thompson. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been here with the truth.